the eighth principle, the dignity of work and the rights of workers. Our church believes that work is important. In 1891, Pope Leo XIII wrote the encyclical Rerum Novarum of Capital and Labor, which highlighted the dignity of work and called for changes that would protect the rights of workers. It was the time of the Industrial Revolution. As writers have noted, the development of machinery created unsafe conditions and demand for longer working hours and child labor. The compendium describes Rerum Novarum as a heartfelt defense of the inalienable dignity of workers, but it also stressed the importance of the right to property, the principle of cooperation among the social classes, the rights of the weak and the poor, the obligation of workers and employers, and the right to form associations. God has commanded that we work. We read in Genesis that he put man and woman in the Garden of Eden with a command to cultivate and care for the earth. The compendium tells us that work is required for man and woman in order to respond to the need to maintain and develop his or her own humanity. St. John Paul II said in his encyclical Laborem Exercens on human work, Jesus became like us in all things, he said, and developed most of the years of his life on earth to manual work at the carpenter's bench. His foster father, St. Joseph, is the patron saint of workers and laborers and of social justice. Pope Francis reminds us that work is fundamental to the dignity of a person created in the image of God. Therefore, it is said that work is sacred. It gives one the ability to maintain oneself, one's family, and to contribute to the growth of one's own nation. He says, there is no worse material poverty than the poverty which prevents people from earning their bread and deprives them of the dignity of work. In his 2015 encyclical Laudato Si, he tells us that we were created with a vocation to work. The goal should not be that technological progress increasingly replaces human work, for this would be detrimental to humanity. Work is a necessity, part of the meaning of life on this earth, a path to growth, human development, and personal fulfillment. Helping the poor financially must always be a provisional solution in the face of pressing needs. The broader objective should always be to allow them a dignified life through work. As St. Basil the Great said, work honors the gifts and talents that God has given to each one of us. The U.S. bishops have said, work is more than a way to make a living. It is a form of continuing participation in God's creation. If the dignity of work is to be protected, then the basic rights of workers must be respected. What are those rights? They include the right to productive work, to decent and fair wages, to humane working conditions, to form and join trade unions, to reasonable limitation of working hours, to private property, and to economic initiative. The economy exists to serve the people, not the other way around. The compendium reminds us that work is for man and not man for work. Pope Benedict XVI said, work is of fundamental importance to the fulfillment of the human being and to the development of society. Thus, it must always be organized and carried out with full respect for human dignity and must always serve the common good. At the same time, it is indispensable that people not allow themselves to be enslaved by work or to idolize it, claiming to find in it the ultimate and definitive meaning of life. Pope Francis has reminded us that work is an important expression of human dignity and of caring for one's family. But today, there is a dangerous tendency, he says, to consider workers' families' obligations as an obstacle to productivity and profit. But let's ask ourselves, what productivity, he said, and for whom? Work in its thousand forms, beginning with housework, is about caring for the common good, providing for one's family, and cooperating with God in creating goods and services that are useful to others. End of quote. The Vatican II document, Gaudium et Spes, lists among the things that are offensive to life and mitigate against the honor of the Creator as degrading working conditions, where people are treated as mere tools for profits rather than free and responsible persons.